Okay, so I've assumed you've watched the very short video on how to use the Canvas page. So now what we're going to do is go over some of the Chapter 1 homework. So very quickly, we'll go from the My ASU page. We'll click on the title, the Microeconomic Principles. That will take us to the Canvas homepage, where that's the only place you ever really need to go in the Canvas page. And we'll scroll down. We're in section 1 right now. And the first multiple choice set of problems and applications chapter 1, we'll click on that link, and you may get, it may open up automatically, or you may get this where it says load problems. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, and it will open up, as you'll see, in a whole new tab, and you might have to wait a couple, few seconds here and there. And what it will do is it will take you automatically to the questions. So you'll see here there's 5 total questions that you do, and each one, in this case, are worth 1 point. I'm going to close that. So each question is worth 1 point. You might find on some of the other homeworks where each question might not be worth the whole point. So don't get too concerned if you happen to miss, a problem here and there. So I'm going to click on the first question, and before we get going on this, I just want to kind of quickly give you a quick overview of what the Chapter 1 homework is having you really kind of revolve around. So the essential points being made in Chapter 1 are looking at this overarching idea that there is no such thing as a free lunch, that nothing is for free. So that even if you go and have lunch with a friend who pays for your lunch, it still isn't free because there was something else that you could have been doing. So it's looking at these ideas of what we call trade-offs and opportunity costs in economics. So a trade-off is anything that's related directly to a specific decision that's being made by some person or entity. So again, I'll say that again, it's anything that is related, but it has to be related directly to a specific decision being made by some person or entity. So it would be from their perspective, the trade-off. And then the opportunity cost would be what you actually end up giving up for that particular item. So it's the next best thing. So there can be, you can have all kinds of trade-offs, but the opportunity cost, if we get real specific, is what you're having to give up to get that item. So with those thoughts in mind, you really, as you're doing these questions, and this is going to be true for all of the homework questions, and I'll just say it now, you really do have to spend time on these homeworks, the multiple choice. You need to spend time reading the question, and my suggestion to you is to read the question once and then go back and reread it again. And the other little thing to keep in mind is some of these questions build on one another. So you've got to pay attention to that too. And then sometimes they'll just be separate questions within the same question. So be very careful as you do this homework. This is not anything that you're going to rush. So question number 1 says, which of the following describe some of the trade-offs faced by a family deciding whether to buy a new car? Check all that apply. So I'd read that as check all that could apply. So as you answer this question, you want to think of, as I said before, anything that is directly related to that specific decision of buying a new car. So I'm going to help you with this one. An increase in the family's car payment means the family will be unable to afford a vacation. Well, that's definitely something that will directly be impacted by the decision to buy a new car. Okay, this one, a newer model offers better protection and functions but is more expensive than an older car. Again, when they're making that decision, that's directly related to the specific decision of buying a new car. They're now having to pay more than if they were buying an older car. Then the last one says the vehicle is available in several colors. Well, that's great. It's several colors. But you have to ask yourself, what does this have specifically to do with buying a new car and the trade-offs. That this would just be more of a choice. So we'll move on. Then the next one says, which of the following describes some of the trade-offs faced by a member of Congress deciding how to spend money, let's say, on national parks? Check all that apply. So when you're answering these questions, the really big thing you want to be thinking of is it's a trade-off, but you've got to look at it from the point of view of whoever we're looking at. So this is trade-offs faced. So it says right here, I'm going to highlight it. Trade-offs faced by a member of Congress. So when you're answering this, you want to be picking things that would be a trade-off from the congressperson's perspective. So let's go. So this one says, national parks are essential to protecting wildlife from extinction. Well, yeah, that's absolutely correct. I would agree with that statement. But what you have to ask yourself here is, does that have any direct impact as a trade-off faced by this member of Congress, given the information that you've been given? The next one, money spent on national parks benefits park visitors, but alternatively, the money could be spent on highways to benefit drivers. So if you're the congressperson, this is definitely something that you would be having to be thinking about when you're making your choice or decision. It directly will have a relationship to the actual decision that you're having to make. And then this one says, dog ownership will surge as a result of better national parks. Well, again, that could be true, but what does it have to do directly with this member of Congress having to make this decision and the trade-offs that they'll have to look at? So I'm just going to click this. So on the next ones that you have to answer, I'm not going to do them for you, but this is the way in which you want to try and tackle these problems. You've got to think of, this next one says trade-offs faced by a company president. So when you go through this, you want to be looking at it from the company president's standpoint. And then the last one is asking you, what are the trade-offs faced by a professor? So when you're looking at trade-offs, on this last one, trade-offs faced by a recent college graduate, when we're looking at trade-offs, it's very important that we consider whose perspective. So we're going to continue on to the next question. Since I haven't put answers here, I'm just going to continue saying okay. Okay, so question number 2. This question is asking you about opportunity costs. So it's about what is it that you're actually having to give up in this question. So again, with this question, you want to read the question, kind of view the answers, then backtrack. This is how I would answer all these questions. So it says you have $20 in your wallet. Sorry for the background noise. So you have $20 in your wallet. You have a choice between using this amount to enter a baseball pool, which give you the opportunity to win 80, and spending the money on buying something else. So this question is asking you, what is the opportunity cost? What is it that you're giving up? So be careful with this question. So the opportunity of winning $80. Okay, that's a possibility, but it's not a definite. So remember, opportunity costs are looking at what is it the next best thing that you could be doing. Okay. The next one says nothing because you would spend the money anyway. Well, everything has opportunity costs is all I'll comment on that. And then the last one says the value you could obtain by spending the money on buying something else. So when you're looking at the answers here, when you're selecting the opportunity cost, you want to be asking yourself here, which one is an actual possible next best alternative, an actual next best alternative, not a probable. So we'll continue on. Okay, So question number 3, again, this is just when you're reading these, you want to kind of look at, what it's asking you just to get a feel for it. So do the same thing. Read the question one time, go through it, then reread it is my suggestion. So I'll read it. A 1996 bill reforming the federal government's anti-poverty programs limited many welfare recipients to only 2 years of benefits. So this is actual legislation that was put in place. So what the federal government was trying to do was they were limiting how long somebody could receive benefits, because their motivation was to try and get people off of welfare and back out there working. So with that in mind, this is how you want to approach the question. So this says, this change gives people the incentives to find a job either more quickly or less quickly than if welfare benefits lasted forever. I think you can answer that. And then the next one says, as a result of the change in working incentives by the 96 bill reform, the economy will it be more efficient or less efficient? Again, I think you can kind of figure that one out yourself, and I'm going to continue on. Okay, so it continues on, and again, you want to read these. When they have these blank things, you want to kind of look at what are they asking for, and be very careful. Don't go quickly through these things. So it says, because poor people are less or more likely to have adequate health care, guaranteeing everyone in society best health care would likely decrease or increase equality. So what this question is actually really trying to get you to kind of view is that while sometimes we want to try and make things better for everyone, it can come at a cost of efficiency to society. So as you answer that, just keep that thought in mind. And then we're going to continue on. The next question, I think this is the last one. So same thing, you've got these blank things, so you've got to be very careful, how you're answering these, and read these slowly. So it says, suppose Americans decide to save more of their incomes, providing banks with more funds to lend to business for investment. So quick little review if you haven't had macro, where where banks get their money from is from us, consumers and firms. They also put money in banks too. And then banks, the way the banks make money is they take the money that we put in their banks and they loan it out to people, to entrepreneurs, to businesses, to individuals. So with that thought in mind, this is asking you what happens. So does this allow for faster growth in productivity, which means production, when we allow people to get loans? And what do you think it does to standard of living? So think of, on this question, just be thinking about the production possibility frontier and how investment is a good thing for a country. I think that's it. So hopefully that will help you with homework number 1.